Frankfurt, West Germany, 1956. 11 years after the end of World War II, many crimes of the Nazi era still go unpunished. The perpetrators of these crimes are walking free. Many judges, prosecutors, and police officers have already served under the Nazis. Now they have no interest in prosecuting their former comrades for actions similar to their own. For the victims of these crimes, this is unbearable. To end this, Attorney General Fritz Bauer establishes a special unit of young prosecutors with no ties to the old regime. I am Esther Katz. I am one of these prosecutors. We are investigating Nazi crimes and bringing perpetrators to justice. Not to avenge, not to heal, but to show that there are laws that apply to all. It doesn't make us popular. Most want to forget. Some want us to shut up. But they cannot stop us. Nothing belongs to the past. Everything is still present and can become the future again. First day, you've got this, Katz. Archive? Not where I should be now. Hello? Anybody here? Not much of a welcome party.
Now, where have I...
Good morning.
Oh, hello. Good morning. Sorry I didn't hear you enter. You must be Miss Katz, right?
Esther Katz, yes, that would be me. And you are?
Paula Fischer. Hello. I'm a legal assistant here for Mr. Bauer's team. Well, the legal assistant. We're a bit understaffed at the moment.
It's nice to meet you, Paula.
Oh, it's my pleasure, believe me. I've brought you this week's newspaper and a letter that arrived for you. Anyway, I should probably be going. I'll be at my desk if you need anything. You'll find me. Or through the intercom. We just had the whole system installed. It made my life so much easier.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Mr. Bauer wants to talk with you once you've acclimatized. His words, not mine. He should be arriving soon for that matter, so should the rest of the team.
I see. Very well then. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on our team, Miss Katz.
All right then. First encounter, check. Time for me to settle in. Look at that. Written evidence of all those sleepless nights. And the ton of coffee. But here I am. I finally made it. Pretty sure it was all worth it. No signal. The line must be dead. Maybe I should talk to Paula about it.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
That will be all for now. Thank you, Paula.
Always happy to help. you.
That will be all for now. Thank you, Paula.
Always happy to help.
The last holiday we spent together as a family. I'm so glad Dad made us do it. Franz was such a show-off that summer. Always trying to impress the girls. I wish you were here, big brother. I'm not letting you down. I swear. A new job deserves a fresh journal, ready to be filled with notes and tasks. The door is locked. The door is locked. The door is locked. Still no signal. Hello?
Mr. Bauer is ready for you. He says at your own time. With him, that means as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'd better get going then.
Good luck.
Miss Katz, welcome to the front line.
The front line, Dr. Bauer?
Just mister. We're working together here. And it's where you are now, at the edge of the enemy land. Believe me, when you leave this office, you'll enter hostile territory. My name, as you already know, is Fritz Bauer, General Prosecutor. Much to the displeasure of the public, I insist on investigating the many crimes committed under the NSDAP. Most of them, of course, have long since gone cold. And nobody out there truly wishes for us, for you, to solve them. Or frankly, to even touch them. A rather thankless job, may I say. Are you up for it?
I was not aware there would be a test for this position.
This entire job is a test, Miss Katz. But no matter. Miss Katz, I believe I have the perfect case for you to start with.
I'm listening.
Hans Naumann, an older gentleman, shot just before the end of the war.
And why does this fall under our jurisdiction?
The suspects. According to the victim's wife, her husband was taken by uniformed men for no reason. He never came back. His body was found in a forest nearby after the war. Shot in the head.
I assume this isn't the first time she brought this case up?
No, it's not. Miss Naumann reported her husband's death to the police. A case was opened. The public prosecutor's office investigated members of the NSDAP local group. They're suspects. However, no charges were pressed. Based on the investigation, Hans Naumann was lawfully executed.
And how did they reach this conclusion?
That you can learn from the documents. The first thing that I'll need you to establish is why Hans Naumann was taken. Depending on the answer, we'll see if the case warrants a full investigation. I asked Mrs. Fisher to prepare a file. It should probably already be on your desk. I suggest you familiarize yourself with it and invite the widow to give a statement. Mrs. Fisher should be able to help you with that. It might also be wise to check the archives. You never know what is hidden in these old boxes. Maybe something about this official order mentioned in the discontinuation report. Ask Mr. Bournemouth for the keys. I believe he has a spare set. Good luck, Miss Katz.
Right. Get the keys, check the files, and invite the first witness. And I need a refresher on the Nazi hierarchy. Understanding the chain of command will be crucial. Paula did say to ask her if I needed anything. Really small for an intercom. Must be a new model.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
I need some additional files.
Something specific?
I need more details regarding NS organizations. Chains of commands, ranks, and badges. Anything you can get your hands on.
Of course, I'll get right to it. Anything else?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Ludmilla Naumann, the victim's widow. I want to hear her version of what happened.
Of course. I'm on top of it. Anything else?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
The door is locked.
Oh, hello. Oh, please, forgive the mess. I'm afraid I didn't have the time to clean up. Miss Katz, right?
Esther Katz, nice to meet you.
Pleasure is all mine. Christoph Olmuth. Christoph, preferably. I try to be on first-name basis.
Is that usual here?
Not from what I can tell.
Let's stick to the usual then, shall we?
We are a small team. I'd love to tell you that we are small and tight-knit, but, well, happy to have more people join the fight. Especially someone like you.
Thank you, I suppose.
Right. Again, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Mr. Bauer said you have the keys to the archive?
I do. We all. Oh, the spare. I tend to keep 2 sets, as I'm somewhat prone to displacing them. Just let me find it. And there it is. The master key. Be aware of its gifts.
The master key?
It's from a story I used to read. You know, don't mind me. Good luck in the archives.
Ooh, the smell. It brings me back to all the nights at the library. found them. These seem relevant to our case.
Paula, how often do I need to tell you that my plaque belongs on my door and not on the floor?
That voice. Oh no.
And how often do I need to remind you that I am not your handyman?
Just fix my door, Paula!
Ugh, no. No. There's no way it's Peter's. Just no. I need to check it. Please let it not be him.
This better be about my door, Paula. Tell me this is a joke.
My thoughts exactly.
Falda, what are you doing here, Katz?
Funny. I was just about to ask you the same thing.
I work here, Katz. I'm Mr. Bauer's right-hand man. And I'm so sorry, but we don't really do marriage disputes for bored housewives here, you know?
Right-hand man? So what? You're his assistant? I thought you wanted to be a well-paid defense attorney. Didn't get the job on account of your wonderful personality, I assume.
Just my luck. So you're the new hire, Katz.
In the flesh.
You won't last a week.
You did, so I'm sure I'll manage. Just you watch. I'll outlast you, you'll see.
Classy, as always. You know what? I don't have time for this. Get out of my office, Katz. Try not to embarrass yourself.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
Miss Katz, if you'd have a moment.
Yes, Paula?
I found some documents you asked for. They're waiting in your inbox. Oh, and there was a call for you. Asked for you to call back. I wrote down the number, left it with the files.
I have an inbox?
We all do, apart from Mr. Peters. He demands everything be handed to him personally, as if we weren't already understaffed. I set yours on your desk. It's where I'll be leaving any letters or files for you. And a daily agenda, if that's needed.
Who called me?
I'm afraid he didn't give a name. An older man, I'd say. Sounded very proper, even if he did ignore my questions. Oh, he referred to you just by name, Esther.
Thank you, Paula.
Miss Katz?
Time to get started. I still can't. I wonder if anybody can tell me how this happened. Who do I want to call?
Hello?
Father? I didn't expect you'd call me here.
Oh, Esther, my dear, so good to hear you. Did you settle in all right?
Somehow, I doubt you just called to check up on me.
There's my smart girl. Do you remember our little talk? It must have been last month.
I don't recall.
Then you should pay better attention. It pays off in our line of work. It is about the job at Bergmann, Kranich and Partners. Family law. Very respectable.
Dad, I'm really busy here. Can we talk about this another time?
Esther, let me be very frank with you. I'm proud of you. I really am. A prosecutor at your age, with the view on women on our line of work being what it is, I'd have to be a fool not to. But your mother and I, we are worried. Do you have any idea what they say about Bauer?
Dad, I don't care about his private life, and I don't listen to rumors.
If that was his only flaw, Esther. The man's fanatic. You must see that. Listen to your father. Leave. Nothing good will come from this.
I make my own decisions now, Father.
Oh, my silly, silly little girl. You... No, Essie. I must apologize. I did not mean to get so passionate about this. I'm just worried. You don't know how important one's reputation is. And if people start to associate you with that man, I just want what's best for you, Essie.
I know, Dad.
I'm proud of you. I know I already said that, but I really am. Like you can't imagine.
Who do I want to call? He's not picking up. Paula?
Mrs. Naumann just arrived. I showed her to the conference room.
Thank you. I'll be right there. You must be Mrs. Naumann. Thank you for coming. My name is Esther Katz. I am one of the prosecutors in Attorney General Bauer's team.
Good morning, Miss Katz. I am very grateful that you found the time. The last prosecutor who looked into my husband's death didn't even speak to me. He dismissed the case, claiming my husband was rightfully executed as a traitor.
Did your husband do anything for which he could be accused of treason?
Of course not. The men that took him weren't even looking for him.
I see. I know it's not easy, but please take me through the day your husband was taken.
It was in April 45, only days before the Americans came.
Where were you that day?
Home. We lived in a small house. Hans was upstairs when the doorbell rang, before someone hammered against the door.
When you opened the door, who was it?
There were two men. One of them was pointing a gun at me.
Do you remember what they looked like?
Both wore uniforms. Brown ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Did they belong to the Wehrmacht?
No. Not Wehrmacht, and not police either. Maybe some kind of party officials or something. One of them was small, thin. He wore glasses, I remember that. The second man was bigger. He was the one pointing the gun at me. He seemed to be in charge.
What made you think that?
He had 2 golden stripes on his uniform, and he was bossing the small one around. He yelled and waved his gun around to scare me. They demanded to speak to Mr. Naumann. The gun was still there, and I was just so afraid I couldn't even move. Hans came down and asked them what they wanted. They demanded to know if there was anyone with us. When we said no, the smaller guy looked in the other rooms. He found no one. It was only Hans and I. Then the big one told Hans that he had to come with them for questioning.
And your husband? How did he react?
Hans remained polite the whole time. He asked them why it was necessary, but the man ignored him. Then everything happened so fast. The small one said they'd let him go if our son would turn himself in. Then they just herded him out, like an animal. This was the last time I saw him alive. Me and my son never got the chance to say goodbye.
What was that man's comment about your son?
Jan. He was living with us at that time, but he didn't show up that night or the following. He got into some trouble. Bad trouble.
Do you think the men were looking for your son?
I believe so, yes. At least that's what they said.
Wait a second. I think it was mentioned somewhere. Please, take a look.
No, I am sorry. I don't see it.
Please, continue. What happened upon your son's return?
When Jan finally came back, it was already too late. We asked the authorities about Hans, but they pretended not to know anything. After war, my husband was found dead in a forest nearby. Shot. I believe he died the same day they took him.
I would really like to talk to your son about it.
You and I both, dear. But I am afraid that's not possible. Jan died only a few months after his father. Pneumonia. Hans was innocent. They killed him, and that's murder. No matter what they call it.
I hear you, Mrs. Naumann.
Please, Miss Katz, will you find the man?
I promise. I will find out who is responsible for your husband's death.
Thank you.
We will let you know if we have enough for an indictment. Please, Paula will help you to the door. Goodbye. I should update Mr. Bauer.
Hello, Miss Katz. Any news regarding the Naumann case?
And quite surprising ones. As it turns out, he wasn't even supposed to be arrested. The men were looking for his son, Jan Naumann. When they couldn't find Jan, they took Hans instead, the father.
I assume that's what Miss Naumann told you. But are you sure she is telling the truth?
According to the files, the man they were looking for had climbed up a flagpole, torn down a flag, and beaten up a block warden when he was caught in the act. Hans Naumann was 77 years old at the time. Of course, there are older men who are in good shape, but
Pulling down a flag and beating someone up seems unlikely. I understand.
yes,
I see, but why did the man take him, if they knew he was innocent?
according to Mrs. Naumann, they took him as a hostage. They were hoping his son, Jan, would surrender once he learned that they had his father.
Highly illegal, even back then. Not uncommon, though. But why did they shoot the old man?
That I don't know yet. But I believe this is definitely a case for us.
It is, indeed. I will officially reopen the investigations tomorrow. You need to find out who was at the crime scene when Hans Naumann was shot. We need witnesses.
I'd start with the names mentioned in the files of the first investigation.
Excellent. Let's get this case to court, Miss Katz. And be mindful of time. We do not have nearly enough of it here. Since you have never led a case before, I want you to be prepared. Mr. Peters has agreed to look over your shoulder and help you out. Present your findings, prove your claims. Please reach out to him.
I'll do what I can. I'll need Paula to get me more information on the suspects. And I suppose I should share the good news with Peters. Just great.
That poor man. And that poor woman. She lost everyone she loved in a matter of a few months. I really hope we can help her.
I hope so too.
Anything I can do?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
I've got something that might help us with them. I looked into the NSDAP local group from the original investigation. Only a few documents survived the bombing, but I found a group photo and a member list from a few years before the incident. I took the liberty of marking the suspects. One of them, Mr. Schwarz, is dead. But can I get any of the other three?
Please invite Mr. Kiebitz.
We'll reach out immediately. Anything else?
I need some additional files. The member list is helpful, but I'd still need something more about our suspects. Can you get me their files?
I'll reach out to the Berlin Document Center. But, just so you know, they tend to take their time. Anything else?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
I had a talk with Mr. Bauer. He wants us to get along, to work together.
I've heard.
Let's just be adults about it, Peters. Peters?
Yes, I've heard you, Katz. Fine. Here's what we're going to do. Let's just call it a truce. I won't interfere with your casework if you stay away from mine. Agreed?
Agreed.
Good. And as for this whole preparing you for court situation, I swear to God, but there is no point discussing it before you've met the witnesses anyway.
Thank you for thinking I'm a total beginner.
Oh, you're welcome. Someone has to do it, since Mr. Bauer apparently overestimates your abilities. Anyway, Get through at least some of your witnesses, and we can get it over with. And while we're at it, don't forget to bring some evidence. I don't want us to improvise the whole thing.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
Good morning, Miss Katz. Miss Katz, excuse me. The witness you asked me to contact, Hermann Kiewitz, just arrived.
Thank you, Paula. I'll be joining you in a minute.
Miss Katz! Miss Katz! Miss Katz!
Good morning. My name is Esther Katz.
A pleasure, miss. Could you tell me how long I have to wait for the prosecutor?
Mr. Kiebitz, I'm the prosecutor here.
Oh, modern times, I guess. How long will this take?
It will take as long as it takes.
It's all right, miss. I'm just asking.
Let's get started, shall we? This is about the arrest of Hans Naumann in Munich on April 28, 1945. According to a witness, two men picked up Mr. Naumann from his apartment. Were you one of them?
You're pretty, you know that?
Mr. Kiebitz, were you one of those men?
No, I wasn't. We drove to the house. Then our group leader and Mr. Schickert got out of the car to arrest the men. Then they tossed the old man into the car and headed to the district office.
The district office. Where was it located?
We just had moved it into the basement of an old brewery, still stuffed with beer bottles and barrels. District leader Schwarz came out and gave the command.
What command? What did he say?
He ordered us to execute the man. Then he left. I felt uneasy. This wasn't right. We followed group leader Falkman to the cell. There was tension.
This must be the cell. Could you describe the cell?
Very basic. Mattress, window, chair.
What was Mr. Faltman doing?
Group leader Faltman seemed to hesitate. He shared my concerns about killing the old sod. He told us to wait. Yet Schickard insisted. He referred to that new order about dealing with insurgents. He was such a stickler for the rules. He could be really annoying about these things.
What did he say?
He yelled he would report us to the Gestapo. Faced with this open threat of being denounced, we did not dare to act. The tension was strong. Group leader Faltman ordered us to wait once more, but Schickard drew his gun and shot him.
Were the compartments prepared to host prisoners?
Kind of. We adjusted them so our prisoner could stay there for interrogations and not get out.
For how long were the prisoners held in these cells?
Mostly around a week.
Being locked in a cell like this, not knowing what would happen next, this must have been so hard. What weapons did the people present have? Standard issue equipment?
We could wish. Those were the last days. We had almost nothing left. Rifles, pistols, ammunition. We had to use whatever was somehow left, or what we managed to get out of the ruins.
Interesting. I should ask Paula if she can find any information about this. How did you ensure the energy supply?
The district struggled to produce enough energy. There were frequent power failures. For emergency, we had a generator. If worst came to worst, we used oil lamps.
Was your local group in contact with other local groups?
Just in Bavaria, there were 28 local groups. We were in constant contact with them.
I can still hear the sirens in my head. They seem to last forever. But it may just have been a minute full of despair, if you survived it. Were there any other prisoners at that time?
Obviously, yes. We had to put the traitors somewhere. We adapted part of the storage rooms as cells.
I think I'm still missing something. How did Mr. Schwarz's office look like?
Quite fancy given the circumstances. Leather chair, massive oak desk. District Leader Schwarz cared about showing off.
For how long did Mr. Faltman talk to Mr. Schwarz?
Miss, it was over 10 years ago. I don't remember. Couldn't have been too long, as Mr. Schickard didn't have enough time to really get on my nerves.
What were Mr. Schwarz's responsibilities as a district leader?
He was responsible for organizing relief measures for the party during air raids, coordinating local groups, providing food and emergency quarters. He had also found the brewery for us and organized the move.
They should consider the chain of command. How did you and Mr. Schickert get along?
He and I didn't have much to do with each other. We were just part of the same local group. He was no feast for the eyes, a cranky guy, strange. Always strict with his work, but annoying from time to time. He was obsessed with Prussian virtues.
What were your responsibilities in your local group?
Most of the time I accompanied District Leader Schwarz and drove him when he needed a driver. He knew how to convey power and discipline.
Interesting. I should ask Paula if she can find any information about this. How was working under Mr. Feldman?
Great. He was a good leader and a better man. It was a pleasure to work with him. Even though some people might have disagreed, we had our share of malcontents in the group. But he knew how to deal with them effectively.
Interesting. I should ask Paula if she can find any information about this. How was your relationship to Mr. Schwarz?
He treated me fairly and friendly. I learned a lot from him.
Was Mr. Schwarz involved in the execution?
He gave the orders, but the members of the local group were responsible for carrying them out. Surely you can't expect a busy man like the district leader to attend every execution in person.
There was no execution order in the files I got. If it exists, I should check if I can get my hands on it. What were your local group's responsibilities in the very last days of the war?
We were responsible for all concerns and for many households within Munich. Above all, we tried to eliminate insurgencies.
Why did you relocate the office?
Because of a big air raid. We wanted to be underground. We hoped that we would be safer there.
So what you are saying is, Schickert shot the old man against Mr. Feldman's order?
Exactly.
That's horrible.
These are brutal events you're getting to hear here. Are you sure you're up for it? Honestly, no one would think this is a job for a woman. What do you have to prove? I will file a formal complaint.
That will not be necessary, Mr. Kiebitz. My superior knows quite well that I am up for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this job. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kiebitz.
Goodbye, Miss Katz.
I should update Mr. Bauer. I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Please invite Mr. Schickert next.
We'll reach out immediately.
Oh, and did you have the chance to talk to Mr. Wohlmuth yet? He found the blueprint of the old brewery that you might find useful. It's where the district office was located at the time of Mr. Naumann's arrest.
I need some additional files. I need information on the equipment used by the local group. Weapons, mainly. As bureaucratic as the NSDAP was, they must have kept some sort of record.
On it. Anything else?
One of the suspects mentioned something interesting about Mr. Feldman. Could you check if there was anything strange happening with his subordinates? Threats, blackmail, anything?
Of course. I'll start looking.
Is there any chance some files regarding the group members' responsibilities remained? Mr. Kibitzer specifically. I want to know if he, at any point, worked directly for the district leader.
I'll see what I can do.
According to the suspects, the shooting was ordered by the deceased Mr. Schwartz. But I saw no copy of such an order in the original case's files.
That's weird. I'll look into it right away.
Anything else?
Any updates on the suspect's personnel files?
I've made the request, but no news since then. Berlin's as silent as always.
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Well, I'm sure glad that is over. A second more and I might have punched him myself. I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't bother.
Est, Miss Katz. Welcome.
Good day, Mr. Wohlmuth.
Actually, before you start, would you mind if for a change I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Am I wrong, or have you and our resident pessimist met before? I mean Simon, or Mr. Peters, if you prefer.
We do know each other. Not closely, but enough. We study together. We didn't really get on well, though. We did even worse than here, so that's saying something. I didn't really expect to see him for a while after that, to be honest. Especially not here. Not someone who'd take a job like this. Or so I thought. So yes, we've met before.
Was he always this much of an ass?
He actually got better, if you'd believe it.
No.
Really, he was much worse. So, what about you?
Me?
What do you make of him?
Oh, he's a nasty piece of work. Unpleasant to be around. He makes everyone around him miserable.
Oh.
But he's a capable prosecutor. Very capable indeed. I'm glad he's on our side. Anyways, is there something else I can help you with?
Paula told me you have something for me. Some sort of blueprint?
Right. Let me just see, where did I put it? What a mess. I've been just buried in all of these papers since morning. Altöttinger Straße 35. There we go. As we can hardly access the original crime scenes, blueprints like this ones are our second best thing. They are what you will be using in court to reconstruct your case.
Thank you.
It's not a problem at all. We need to have each other's backs here. So, who do you think did it?
I'm sorry?
The old man. Who shot him?
I think it could have been Schickert.
And is that what your witness told you?
Yes, it is.
Just remember, you can't always trust what they say. People lie, misremember, make honest mistakes, even more so when they're potential suspects. Our role isn't to retell their testimonies in court, but to build theories of what actually happened, which might be different from what any witness tells you. But here I go, babbling away again. Sorry. Shouldn't keep you any longer. Hope you find the blueprint useful.
Actually, I have some other questions.
Oh, thank God. I'd take any reason not to go back to all this.
Did you see Mr. Bauer?
Did I? Oh, yes, some 2 hours ago. Trust me, you don't want to get in his way today. He was in a real mood.
Can I ask you a few questions about the work here?
Ask away.
How long have you worked for Mr. Bauer?
Here? Almost since the beginning. Which sounds good, but really means just a few months. We are a new team.
Have you worked with Mr. Bauer before?
Didn't get the chance, no. And even here, it's not exactly working with him either. Under would be a better term. Usually, at least.
I have a different question. I have some questions about somebody.
Who would that be?
I have a different question. I think that's all for now.
Don't be a stranger.
The door is locked. Who do I want to call? No luck. That's weird. He should be in. The door is locked.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
Did you see Mr. Bauer?
I wish I did. He got a call and had to leave. Urgently. Let me tell you, he was in quite the rush. Murmuring something about Argentina, of all places.
Guess I won't be updating him today. Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now. There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.